Motorola have announced some brand new smartphones, including this, the Moto Edge 20 Pro. It offers some solid specs, but is it worth the asking price? I'm EMKWAN, and in this video review, I'll help you answer that question here on EMKWAN Reviews. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment, but inside, I just want to show you what you get in the box, including this 30-watt charger, and that works with the USB-C to USB-C cable. We also get a SIM ejector tool and this nice and simple see-through silicone case. Now, the design on this smartphone isn't particularly revolutionary, but it does look very nice. And I love what Motorola have done with the colors here, particularly on this midnight blue color where it goes from dark blue all the way to light blue on the edges. It's a really nice play with the light on this, and it's made out of glass. So you've got a glass back panel, which is Gorilla Glass 5, both on the front and the back, and it certainly looks nice. Now, in the hand, on first impressions, it looks like a big smartphone. And it is a big smartphone, but surprisingly quite light. It measures in at about 190 grams, so it isn't very heavy to hold. Now, taking you for a quick look down at the bottom, you'll notice that you have a dual SIM tray next to the USB-C port, and then outward firing speakers. Now, surprisingly, the speakers are basically down there at the bottom. There's no dual speaker system going on here, and it's okay. But there's also no 3.5mm headphone jack. So if you're using wired headphones, then those are basically not going to work with this. You have to opt for Bluetooth to get that going. Now, when it comes to the side over here, you've got that power button that doubles up as a fingerprint scanner, easy to use, easy to set up. And then you've got the volume rocker just above that. Now, on the other side over here, you've got another button, which is actually a designated button for Google Assistant. Now, as nice as that glass back panel is, it will pick up fingerprints. So if you don't want to see fingerprints on the back, then it might be an idea to use that see-through silicone case. Now, when it comes to the display, I've got nothing to say that's negative. Number one, it's a flat display, which I'm a big fan of. There's no curvature going on here. It's an incredibly vibrant display, a 6.7-inch OLED display. It does have a small punch hole camera on the front, but it doesn't obstruct really anything substantial to the viewing experience. And it's a display that's not only vibrant, but it has support for 144 Hz refresh. So everything feels silky smooth when you're swiping through. It also supports HDR10+, so media consumption, videos are much more vibrant, punchy, and overall really very, very nice display experience with this. Performance-wise, this is powered by the Snapdragon 870 5G chipset, and that's paired up with 12 GB of RAM. Multitasking, graphic-intensive gaming. In fact, talking of gaming, playing titles like Asphalt 9, PUBG Mobile, and a few others has been a real joy on this. There's no noticeable lag, and also with the higher frame rate, with the higher refresh rate, you're also going to get a much more fluid and smoother experience throughout. Now, for the more serious gamers, there's a feature called game time incorporated within the software, and that means that you have quick access to, blocking calls, notifications, and a few other features, and that gives you a more fuller gaming experience, which is uninterrupted. When it comes to software, this is where it stands out because this is running a stock-like Android experience. What that basically means is that this is running a version of Android that is intended to be used as Google expected. Now, a lot of other manufacturers will put an additional skin on top. They'll change up the icons. They might even dump in some additional software. You're not going to get that with this. You're going to get 2 years worth of updates for the Android software. So that will take you up all the way through to Android 13 because this is running Android 11 right out of the box. Plus, it does also incorporate additional security patches throughout the year. So that's another plus point. Now, related to software is actually a cool feature from Motorola incorporated, and that is called Ready For. This gives you the ability to connect your device to an external monitor or TV for certain functions. Now, there are 4 key areas. The first one is Ready For work. so you're able to use apps on the bigger screen and having a desktop experience with the phone. There's even an app for Windows 10 that helps you easily connect to your laptop. The second is for entertainment, so casting content from streaming apps onto a big screen without the issues of pixelation that can normally happen when it's just simply screen mirroring happening. Now the third is for gaming, having a much more immersive gaming experience. And what is really cool here is you can actually also connect Bluetooth controllers, mouse, keyboards for that experience. And finally, it's also for video calls by turning your smartphone into a full HD webcam for video calls and streaming. When it comes to battery life, this is powered by a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, and for most people this should be okay for about a day's worth of use. If you are a heavy user like me, that might be slightly less depending on the applications that you're using. But during my time testing this out, I've been using a lot of gaming apps. I've also been using quite a lot of multimedia, and obviously with that 144 Hz refresh display, it does burn into the battery life. But there are a couple of things to note. Number one, you do have that fast charger, 30-watt fast charger, 0 to 100% in about an hour and 15 to 20 minutes. So that's pretty good. And one thing to note, however, is that it doesn't have the wireless charging on the back, which would have been nice to see on a device like this. Now, as far as camera capabilities are concerned, on the back you're going to find a triple camera made up of a 108 megapixel main sensor. By default, that main sensor does bin images down to preserve on space, but if you want to use that to its full capabilities, there is an option and you're going to get plenty of detail and intricacies in those images taken. That main camera is a pretty decent shooter when it comes to normal conditions, and also in low light you're getting plenty of color accuracy, vibrancy in those shots taken, lots of details and intricacies. Now when it comes to telephoto, you do have an 8 megapixel 5x telephoto included in that triple camera setup, and when it comes to zoom, this will take images up to a maximum of 50x zoom. But what I found was really anything above 5x, as you can see in some of these examples, it becomes lots of noise in those images, and the images overall with the telephoto lens look slightly more saturated than that main camera lens, so something to be aware of there. There's also the 16 megapixel for the ultra wide with 119-degree field of view, and shots taken with this do come out quite nice, particularly for landscape and scenic shots. When it comes to low light conditions, obviously the main camera lens does a better job consistently, but then when you get into the ultra wide and also start using the telephoto, that's where you'll notice more noise in the images taken. Okay, so this is an example of the video with that front facing selfie shooter. It's got an aperture of f2.25, 32 megapixel, and this is currently being recorded at 4K UHD. Right guys, here's an example of video shot in 4K 60 frames per second on this device, and this is a great chance to check out stabilization but also the audio as I'm walking around. Now one of the things that I did notice, particularly with video, is that you do get this punchiness in certain colors, particularly with the greens and the blues. Let me know what you think of the video quality in the comments down below. The Edge 20 Pro certainly has a lot going for it, particularly at this price point. For me personally, I was a big fan of the display, the camera hardware, but also from the software side, along with the Ready for, if that's something that you're looking for in terms of enhancing the productivity from your smartphone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Plus you can find out all the pricing information and other details in the description. If you enjoyed this video, I'll see you over here next.